I am a 26-year-old female, and I have been dating my boyfriend, a 28-year-old male, for a little over a year. A little under a year ago, one of his best friends came to visit and asked him to be a groomsman at his wedding, which is now in 2 months. My boyfriend has never been to a wedding before and works odd hours and days, so he said he would let the friend know closer to the wedding. Almost a year goes by, and the wedding is in 2 months, and my boyfriend has yet to talk to the groomsman. I have also been invited to be a plus one at the wedding. However, I've only met the groom once and know absolutely no one at this wedding. My boyfriend skipped the bachelor party and has made no effort in thinking or talking to the groom about the wedding. To attend this wedding, I would have to fly halfway across the country late at night since I cannot take off work. I teach undergraduate students, and there's no one to replace me and cannot do it remotely by policy. I would attend the wedding on Saturday and fly back on Sunday. Since the wedding is 2 months away, I would like to book tickets sooner than later if I am attending this wedding. I don't want to spend over $400 on a wedding where I don't really know anyone. I would only go to support my boyfriend. My boyfriend has talked to the groom and said he would be separated for most of the day since he's a groomsman and I am a plus one. I don't really want to attend since my boyfriend is dumping all of the travel planning and gift buying on me, and I feel like I would be really lonely at the party. I expressed this to my boyfriend, and he said he won't go without me, and since he doesn't have many friends, this is likely one of the few weddings he'll attend outside of his siblings and cousins. I'm really not sure what to do because I don't want to go, nor do I have time to plan this entire trip as the school year is starting up, but I feel like I'm getting guilt-tripped by my boyfriend. Do I still plan the whole thing even though I don't think that's fair? Do I just put my foot down and refuse to go? Do I just wait it out until my boyfriend decides he wants to start making decisions and make him pay for the extra money it costs to buy a plane ticket late? To add, thank you for the advice so far. My understanding is that he said yes to being the groomsman, not best man. Sorry, if he can attend the wedding, but skipped out on the bachelor party, which he was invited to. In my mind, the groom is just about as irresponsible as he is, and my feeling is he told the bride that he's coming, so they are counting on him. I haven't RSVP'd, hence trying to figure out this whole situation. He also never got a formal invite from the groom, although the groom did ask for my first and last name for the invitation. Almost forgot. Context. My boyfriend is in medical residency and believes he works too much to have time to figure things out, in his opinion. I am a PhD student who is about to start work on her dissertation. Now for an update. Thank you all for the helpful advice. I confronted my boyfriend about the situation, and it turns out he wasn't telling me the full story. When he committed to being a groomsman, he told the groom he wasn't sure he was going to be able to attend the wedding since he only gets his schedule 4 to 6 weeks in advance. The groom said that was fine. Like I said, the groom is a little bit of a moron. The past few months, the groom has been texting my boyfriend every few weeks, asking if he is going to attend the wedding, to which my boyfriend has responded, "I don't know." My boyfriend finally stepped up about a month ago and told the groom that if his scheduling isn't working for him, then maybe he should go as a regular guest, and therefore it won't be such a big deal if he can't make it, and that he could find a stand-in groomsman for him. The groom said, "No, I don't see any reason you can't be a groomsman," and has continued to harass my boyfriend weekly about the wedding. I think he told his fiancée that my boyfriend could make it and now is freaking out about the possibility that my boyfriend's world doesn't revolve around his wedding. I knew about the scheduling issue. It's like a 90% chance he can go, but my boyfriend was keeping me in the dark about all this chaos with the groomsmen. We agreed that we would go if his schedule cleared up, and my boyfriend will have a friend and his wife who also don't want to go to this wedding, but were pressured into it, to babysit me during the ceremony and pictures. Basically, my boyfriend tried to get out of being a groomsman for the sake of both of our sanities, but the groom has refused to let my boyfriend back out of it without creating major drama and has basically put him in an impossible spot. Apparently, when my boyfriend said from the very beginning that he wouldn't go to the bachelor party, the groom kept texting him about it until the week of trying to convince him to go. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This is simple. Whether he goes or not, you aren't going. You are not planning the trip, buying presents, etc. This is not your monkey, it is his monkey. Just tell him you're not going. You look forward to hearing all about it when he gets back. He'll have fun, etc. Stand your ground and say no. If he doesn't want to go at all, and the wedding is 2 months out, he's edging into problematic territory to interrupt the wedding party at this late date. Actually, he's in that zone already. But again, this is his issue. None of this has anything to do with you. He can call his mother if he's this immature about adult responsibilities. Comment 2. Do you want to date a child? Why does any of this fall on you? You aren't his mother, and he's a whole adult. Your boyfriend is 27. He is fully capable of making his own plans and buying a wedding gift. Your boyfriend would be a total jerk at this point to back out of being a groomsman. The time to do that was a year ago, and you shouldn't be okay with it either. Don't go. You don't want to. And it sounds like the only reason he wants you to go is so you can do the planning. You need to examine this relationship and determine if you really want to be with someone so developmentally stunted. Now for the update. A few days after my last update, I was having breakfast with my boyfriend at our apartment. Just the usual stuff, you know? I was kind of zoned out, finishing my toast while he was on his phone. Out of nowhere, he gets this text from the groom about finalizing the groomsmen details. I didn't really pay attention at first, but I noticed him typing this long response. I was like, okay dude, hope that doesn't take too long. You got a shift to get to. He mentions how he has to leave early for his shift, and my anxiety about the wedding logistics just spikes. My stomach feels weird. Fast forward to later that day, I'm just chilling at home, sorting through some wedding-related emails, trying not to lose my mind when my mom calls. She invites me to a family dinner at their house to celebrate my younger brother's recent engagement. I'm like, sure, why not? So at dinner, my parents are all smiles and chit-chat, asking about the wedding I'm going to with my boyfriend. My dad starts reminiscing about how he and my mom traveled to a ton of weddings when they were dating. And I'm just there like, yeah, that's nice. Can we get to the food now? Then the conversation shifts to my brother's fiance, who's super excited about their wedding plans. I mean, it's cute and all, but let's get to the cake already. As dinner wraps up, my brother's fiance asks about the groomsman role. So I mention my boyfriend's uncertainty about attending. She casually suggests she could go with him instead. And man, that sparks a whole debate. I can tell my mom is all for it, and I'm just sitting there like, this isn't happening right now. Back at home later that night, I bring up the idea of me going solo with my boyfriend. He gives me this look like, are you kidding? The next day, I'm trying to chill when I get a call from the groom's fiance, who invites me to a pre-wedding brunch. I'm like, sure, I guess I'll go. At the brunch, I meet other guests, and I'm not gonna lie, I felt slightly out of place, but tried to enjoy it anyway. A few guests start discussing how the groom has been stressed about his wedding, and I'm just nodding along, not really knowing what to say. Then, one guest casually mentions that the groom's previous groomsman dropped out last minute. I mention this to my boyfriend later, and he seems more anxious than usual, like his face turns pale or something. He shares that he might have to go to a medical conference that weekend, and I can tell he's really worried about it. Now, it's like a week before the wedding, and my boyfriend gets this text saying he needs to be in 2 places at once. He decides to skip the wedding entirely, and I'm just sitting there, completely shocked. I mean, what? We argue about the importance of family and commitment at the dinner table, and it's not pretty. I can feel my face getting hot. He storms off to his room, and I'm just left there, fuming. The night before the wedding, I get this text from the groom with last-minute details. I read it and feel super anxious, but I push it down. At the wedding, I meet more of the groom's friends and start to enjoy the atmosphere. The decorations are beautiful, and the music is awesome. During the reception, I'm dancing my heart out when I overhear this conversation about my boyfriend's conference plans. One of the guests mentions how my boyfriend is known for dropping commitments, and I feel this knot in my stomach. I'm just standing there, frozen, like what the heck. Then it hits me hard when I receive a photo from my boyfriend at the conference, smiling with some new acquaintance. The photo is time-stamped for the same time as the wedding ceremony, and I just can't. I decide to enjoy the rest of the wedding regardless, focusing on the moment. The night ends with me dancing with other guests, and for a moment, I forget all the drama. It felt good to just let loose and have fun. Mini update. After the wedding, I returned home feeling mixed emotions. I tried to talk to my boyfriend, but he was distant. We ended up having a big argument about trust and priorities. It's been a few days, and we are now taking a break from each other to think things through. Am I the idiot for breaking off my engagement after finding out my fiancé used the same ring he bought for his ex? I've been with my fiancé for almost 2 years. He is the gentlest, kindest, and most intelligent person I've dated, and our relationship has blossomed organically. The only reservation I've had is his ex. They were friends since they were early teenagers and dated through their 20s. She blindsided him by dumping him after 6 years because she felt that he didn't accept her for who she was and that they were incompatible in the long run. I know that it was really hard because they were still in love and had gone through trauma together. I know that he almost proposed to her towards the end of the relationship and had a ring, but decided against it because she was starting to act cold and distant. When they spoke about it, she told him that one day he would make another girl very happy with the ring, but it wouldn't be her. She moved on first and got married. But it took my fiancé 7 years to meet me, someone for whom he had the same strength of feeling that he did for her. I know that she was the complete opposite of me, outgoing, fiery, and artistic. However, he assured me that falling in love with me helped him realize how happy, healthy, and safe he felt with me in a way that he didn't with her. I know that when we started dating, they were in contact, mostly because of their long history and caring about each other's families. I was uncomfortable with this, and he told her that their communication needed to taper off. She was sad about it, but said that she understood and that it was probably best for them to end the friendship. He ended up proposing to me last month, and I was elated. I absolutely loved the ring, and curiosity got the best of me, so I asked him how he decided on it. He mentioned that it was his grandmother's, and that he had had it for a long time, waiting for the one. I was touched until it later occurred to me that this very well might be the ring he was almost going to propose to his ex with. I asked him about it, and he said that yes, it was the same ring, but with me, he knew that it was right. I don't know why this bothers me. The fact that he almost proposed with the same ring has triggered fleeting thoughts that I'm his second choice, and that if she hadn't ended things with him, he would still be together with her. I know that he still has old photos of them together and artwork that she made him. She lives far away now, but a lot of their mutual friends care about her and are in contact with her, and she visits town. My fiancé also reconnected with her brother through a shared hobby, though they never speak about her. I now feel that the history behind the ring has cast a layer of fog over my excitement. Should I explain to him how I feel and perhaps ask for a new ring? Any advice would be appreciated. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're insecure and you're using that ring as a medium. I know that he still has old photos of them together and artwork that she made for him. She lives far away now, but a lot of their mutual friends care about her and are in contact with her, and she visits town. My fiancé also reconnected with her brother through a shared hobby, though they never speak about her. I would also feel insecure, given how long the relationship lasted, but the relationship boundaries were always blurry. Comment 2. Family rings go through a laundry list of people. It's more about the ring and its connection to the family. Is your attachment to the idea that you are his second choice greater than the idea that the ring is about his family history? Edited to add, it also never became her ring. It was never used, and by his own violation, he held off before she broke up with him. It was never her ring. Now for the update. I'm really bad at updating, so I'm sure this will be a long time coming, but here goes lol. A month has passed since the engagement, and I'm still really uneasy about the ring in my fiancé's past. He still doesn't get why I'm not over it yet, and I honestly don't know myself. I love this man. I want to marry him. I just can't get over this one thing. I decided to bring up my concerns during a dinner with my fiancé at a cozy Italian restaurant. We were enjoying our meal when he mentioned his ex in passing, and I felt super tense. I asked if he had spoken to her recently, and he said no, they haven't been in touch since the engagement. I felt suspicious about that, but I didn't know why, and I decided not to pry. I noticed his phone buzzing with messages the whole dinner, and when he stepped away to take a call, I glanced at his phone screen. There was a message from a contact named Jess. The message was vague and intimate, and it made me feel really anxious. He came back, and everything seemed fine, but I couldn't shake the feeling. A week later, I went to a birthday party for a mutual friend where we were both invited. At the party, I overheard a group of friends talking about a recent get-together with his ex, and I felt sick. After the party, I confronted my fiancé about the conversation I heard, and he downplayed it, saying it was just a casual hangout and doesn't mean anything. I decided to dig deeper because I couldn't get this Jess contact out of my mind. I spent a few nights trying to find clues about who Jess is, but I came up empty. One day, during a casual lunch, I asked my fiancé about his friends again, and he mentioned that Jess is an old friend from college who recently moved back to town. I was still skeptical, but didn't know why. One night, while I was at home, I received a text from an unknown number. The message read, "I saw your fiancé with Jess last week. Just thought you should know." I couldn't believe what I was reading. I decided to investigate further and posted a question in a local community forum about Jess. A few hours later, a user responded, saying they saw my fiancé and Jess at a coffee shop together. I decided to go to the coffee shop the next day to see if I could catch them together. To my shock, I walked in and spotted my fiancé and Jess sitting at a corner table, laughing like they were old friends. I recorded a video of them for proof, and after leaving the coffee shop, I started planning how to confront my fiancé. That night, I set up a surprise dinner at home and claimed I wanted to celebrate our engagement. During dinner, I played the video of my fiancé with Jess and waited for his reaction. He looked shocked and stammering, trying to explain himself as I laid out the details. He admitted to meeting Jess, but insisted it was just as friends, not romantic. I told him that I needed space and moved in with my sister for a few weeks. After settling in, I received a message from Jess insisting that she didn't mean to hurt anyone. I decided to meet Jess for coffee to hear her side of the story. At the coffee shop, Jess admitted that she still had feelings for my fiancé and didn't know about the engagement. I told her that I needed to talk to my fiancé about everything, and I left. I returned to my apartment and confronted my fiancé that night, laying everything bare. We had a heated discussion, and I made it clear that trust has been broken. I decided to end the engagement and focus on myself. Mini update. After ending the engagement, I took time to focus on myself. I traveled, explored new hobbies, and rediscovered my passions. My friends and family were supportive throughout the process. Recently, I reconnected with someone special from my past, and we're taking things slowly. I'm excited about what the future holds. Am I the idiot for ignoring my husband's video games and focusing on my health instead? I have been struggling with my 44-year-old husband's 42-year-old lack of caring about what I'm going through or struggling with. I've been having some health issues. While I'm experiencing many side effects, the most difficult to handle, or I should say the most disruptive to daily tasks, is extreme dizziness and lightheadedness when bending over to pick things up. I went to the doctor earlier this week, and after the tests came back, they identified the primary cause of the issues. I tried to explain to my husband what's going on. He was on the computer playing a game when I initially started to tell him. He didn't respond, so I stopped telling him. When he was done, he turned around and said, "So you have a medical issue?" I said yes, and started to explain what it means, what it is causing, and what my treatment plan is. I barely started explaining it, and he just turned back around and got back on his computer while I was talking. When it became clear he wasn't listening, I stopped talking, but was upset. Later, I tried telling him how hurtful it was, and he brushed me off, saying, "I didn't hear you." I reminded him that he had turned around while I was in the middle of talking, and he said, "I was doing something." So I pointed out that he knew something was going on. So even if he was doing something, why didn't he come back and ask me afterwards? I told him it felt like he really didn't care what was wrong with me. This conversation went in circles several times, going nowhere. So I said the conversation wasn't going anywhere, and we stopped. Later, I tried talking with him again about how I felt, and he again kept insisting he cared, but I wasn't being fair because he didn't hear me, and he was doing something. I asked him why. If this was the case, and if he did care, why didn't he come back at any point in the following hours to ask me again what was going on? He said that he shouldn't have to play my games, and that I should have just told him again later. I told him that I wasn't interested in constantly trying to tell him something that he obviously didn't care about. A few more hours passed, and he finally asked me what was going on. I explained the diagnosis and started to explain the issues it was causing when he cut me off and said, "Okay, so that's it?" in a bored tone. I said no and continued telling him the rest. When I was done, he said, "Okay," and walked off. Since then, I've had to remind him numerous times that I can't bend over and pick things up when he's gotten annoyed at me for asking for help. Yesterday, I got my prescriptions and was able to start treatment, but it will likely be a bit before I start to get relief. Today, the grocery delivery arrived. He picked up the bags from outside and brought them into the kitchen, putting them on the floor. I was standing there waiting for him to put stuff on the counter so I could start putting it away when he snapped at me saying, "Are you going to just stand there, or are you going to help?" I started to explain again that I can't bend over to pick things up, but he cut me off and said, "So you're just going to stand there?" I got upset at this point and stopped talking. As soon as the bags were on the counter, we put things away while I also cleaned out old things from the fridge. After we were done, I tried talking to him, telling him that what he keeps doing is hurtful. I said, "I can't bend over right now," but he cut me off and said, "You can, you just don't want to." When I tried explaining again that I can't, he kept interrupting me, insisting, "I can, but don't want to," and that he's not going to coddle me. I tried telling him this is why I feel like he doesn't care. I told him he doesn't listen to me when I'm talking, and that he cuts me off so he can give excuses instead of just listening to what I'm saying and absorbing what I mean. I said that I've told him numerous times now why I can't bend over and how hurtful and frustrating it is that he just keeps cutting me off and making it clear he doesn't care. When I stopped talking, he said, "This is why I cut you off, because otherwise you'll keep going on and on about 8 million different things." I told him, this isn't 8 million things. It is one issue. The same issue I've been trying to talk to him about over and over again, that I feel like he doesn't care about what I'm going through. He doesn't care about me, and that these are all just examples of the same issue. He keeps insisting that he does care, but then puts in zero effort, and when I try talking to him, he gets very dismissive and sometimes mean. How can I get my husband to really listen to me? Should I just give up and stop trying? I just don't know what to do anymore. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He's listening. He's just showing very clearly that he doesn't care. He actively seems to resent you. I don't know why, but you can't depend on him for anything. He's treating you like he doesn't like you, and I think you have to come to terms with what he is showing you, take it at face value, and make your own independent plans. If you have anyone you can call for help or anyone you can stay with in the short term, that might be for the best. Comment 2. He sounds hurtful, and I think it's well past the time when you should consider why you remain with him. Look into Darvo behavior, as I'm sure it will cover a lot of what he does, and then read Why Does He Do That? By Lundy Bancroft. Now, for the update. Here's what happened after my husband and I had another talk about his weird behavior. It had been a week since the whole sit-down. I spent the entire week trying to talk to him about my health, which is kind of funny because he never really listened to me before this. It's just that now, it feels like he's even more checked out than usual. It's like I'm talking to the wall. He just kept playing his stupid video games, like that was more important than me actually freaking breathing. He left me to deal with everything, including my health issues. I had to go to a follow-up doctor's appointment by myself. I came home, and the doctor had prescribed me medication to help with the symptoms I was having. I was so excited to share this news with him, but guess what? He barely even looked up from his screen and just mumbled something. I was so frustrated, but I decided it was time to focus on my recovery. I couldn't keep waiting for him to notice me. My parents invited us to a family barbecue over the weekend. I thought this would be a good chance for my husband and me to reconnect, but I wasn't holding my breath. On the day of the barbecue, I made a dish to bring, and as usual, he was glued to his game, so I left without him. I arrived at my parents' house and felt a bit of relief. Everyone was so happy to see me, and I felt supported. My sister asked how I was doing, and I opened up about everything. My brother jokingly suggested that I could use a personal assistant, which made everyone laugh. The atmosphere was really chill until my husband showed up. He arrived late, of course, just as everyone was sitting down to eat, and he seemed annoyed when I introduced him to my brother's new girlfriend. As the evening went on, he started making sarcastic comments, and he was just plain rude when my family asked about my health. I noticed my dad giving my mom these concerned looks, and then my husband snapped at my sister for asking a harmless question. I stepped in to calm things down, but he brushed me off. After dinner, I needed to collect my thoughts, so I excused myself to the kitchen. My mom followed me in because she could tell something was off. She urged me to talk about what was happening with my husband, and I explained how distant and dismissive he had been lately. She suggested talking to him again, but honestly, I was so tired of that idea. I went back to the dining area, and he was just sitting there scrolling on his phone. I confronted him about his behavior at the barbecue, and he laughed it off, claiming he was just being himself. I was done trying to explain myself, so I just walked away. The next day, I was browsing social media and found an old friend. We started chatting, and it felt so nice to connect with someone. My husband noticed my phone buzzing during dinner and asked who it was. I told him it was a friend, and he seemed annoyed. I decided to meet my friend for coffee the following week. The day finally came, and my husband didn't even ask where I was going. At the cafe, my friend and I talked for hours, just laughing and enjoying ourselves. It felt amazing. I came home late, and my husband was furious. He demanded to know why I was out so late. I told him it was none of his business, and that just made the whole argument worse. So now I planned a weekend trip with my friend, and honestly, I feel so empowered. Edit. My husband didn't even ask where I was going when I told him I was meeting my friend. When I came home late from the coffee date, he was furious and questioned me about my whereabouts. I told him it was none of his business, which only made the argument worse. In response to his anger, I planned a weekend trip with my friend. I felt so empowered and excited for this opportunity to take a break from everything. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.